This is the second lecture of the Python lecture series. This time we will talk about Booleans and flow control. Okay, so first of all, Booleans. So what is Boolean? Actually, it's a variable type with only two states. One state is on and then the other state is off. So it's normal that a computer can represent these two states because it represents the electricity on and off. So on can be viewed as true or yes or 1, and then off can be viewed as false, no, and 0. So normally it's associated with asking a yes/no question. So if your coworker or your classmates ask you if you had lunch yet, there could be only two answers, yes or no, right? By answering yes or no, you are doing some decision making. So Booleans are used in making decisions when you're asking a yes/no question. So for example, if you're asking if 1 is smaller than 2, then because 1 is really smaller than 2, then your answer is yes. Okay, another question would be if you're asking if 2 plus 2 equals to 5. Okay, so the comparison equal sign is equal here. It's different from the 1 equal sign because the 1 equal sign is for variable assignment. So here we are comparing the value of 2 plus 2 to 5. We know that they're not equal because 2 plus 2 is 4. So the answer would be no. So it's sometimes we use this to check the validity of some data or some kind of measurements. Okay, and we use these comparisons for flow control sometimes. I'll explain what is flow control later. Okay, so this is like a common question in meteorology. So sometimes we have a lot of different data of rainfall, we have values, and we want to ask the question if the rainfall is larger than 0.1 millimeter per hour. And if the answer is yes, we think that it's a rainy day. And if the answer is no, then it's not a rainy day. So why do we need such a question? It's because we have data which are really small, smaller than 0.1, and sometimes it's not coming from the rainfall. Sometimes it's just some uncertainties in the apparatus that we have or measuring device that we have. Okay, so we put a threshold or a standard that if the rainfall is higher than this, we will think of that day as a rainy day. Okay, so this is like a decision making or data selection process. Okay, so there are different kinds of comparisons. For example, if we assign the value of 3 to x here, and if we do comparison like this, if x is smaller than 5, because we know that x is 3, so we know that the result would be true. So we can try this in the interactive mode of Python. So again, we type Python, and then we see these 3 arrows. Okay, so we assign x to the value of 3, and then we do the comparison. Remember, we have to print it. Okay, x is smaller than 5. Okay, enter, and then we see that the result will be true because 3 is smaller than 5. Okay, and we can also try maybe this one. Okay, we want to see if x is larger than or equal to -1. It's still true because x is 3, then it's larger than -1. Okay, So there are different types of comparisons. This one is special because we want to see if x equals to 30. Okay, if x equals to 30. It's false because x is free, so it's not equal to 30. So this statement is false. Okay, this one is also special because it means that it's not equal to. Okay, so x is not equal to 2.5. Okay, we know that it's true because 3 is not equal to 2.5. Okay, you can try that with your interactive mode of Python. Okay, sometimes we need to do multiple conditions. So if you want to see if you're taking a child to take the metro or the MTR in Hong Kong, if you want to see if you have to buy a ticket for this child, then you need to look at two conditions. The first one would be if your child is taller than 95 centimeters, or if your child is at the age of 3 or older. Okay, two conditions. And either one of these is fulfilled, then you have to buy a ticket. So we put an or here. Okay, so if your child is taller than 95 centimeters, maybe 100 centimeters, and even if he or she is smaller than 3 years old, maybe 2 years old, then you still need to buy a ticket. Okay, only if both of these are not fulfilled, then you don't need to buy a ticket. Okay, sometimes we need to use this kind of comparison in the weather study. So for example, if you have a daily temperature, one value input, if you are at, for example, 35 degrees Celsius that day, because you have fulfilled one of these conditions, then it's true. Then you have to issue a warning to the public. Okay. If you're having a daily temperature at maybe 20 degrees Celsius, then you are not fulfilling these two because it's not smaller than 12 and it's not larger than 33, then you don't need a warning. So this is one of the examples in studying weather. Okay, so there are different types of ways to combine the two comparisons. In here we have and. In the last slide we have talked about or. So what is and? So if you have, for example, if you have two true, so both of the conditions are true, then if you're using and, then you will have a true, like here. I'll try that in here, okay? I'll quit this first, and then I'll go back to the interactive mode. We first have to assign a value of 3 to x, and then the value of 4 to y, and then we want to see if x is smaller than 5, and at the same time y is smaller than or equal to 4. Okay, so how do we do that? X is smaller than 5 and y is smaller than or equal to 4. Okay, then it's true. Okay, because we know that x is 3, so it's smaller than 5, true. And then y is 4, so y is smaller than or equal to 4, also true. So true and true would be true. Okay, true and true. This is the result of and, so it's true. Okay, so maybe we can try this one. So x is larger than 3 and y equals to 1. Okay, false. So we know that x is 3, so it's not larger than 3, false. Okay, and then y is 4, is not equal to 4, also false. So false and false here, false, 0 and 0 is 0. Okay, so we have false and false, so we have false at the end. Okay, you can also try the remaining examples here. Okay, what about we have 3 or more conditions? So first of all, there are rules. If you have a bracket, the bracket has the highest priority. Okay, so I have an example here. If you type this, so the purple text here, in your, you can try that in an interactive mode. Okay, we always have to print this. Okay, so the result of this is true. That's because the n has a higher priority than OR. So it's like multiplication and addition in your math course. N has a higher priority, so your computer will process this first, true and false. What is the result of true and false? It will be false, right? So your computer process this, and then we'll have a false here. We place this whole part, and then true or false would be true. So that's why we have a true here. So the result is true. So this column is interpreting what the computer is doing. So the second one is that we put a bracket here. We put a bracket here. Okay, so we put a bracket here. So the computer processed this instead of the last part because you have put a bracket here. Okay, then true or true is true. So, but true and false is false. So that's why you're getting a false here. So by putting brackets or putting and or here, you are playing with the priorities. Okay, so be careful when you have 3 or more conditions. I would suggest you to put a bracket in your comparisons anyway if you have 3 or more comparisons to do.